Hey, it says we're live.
Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. It's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're catching up on our back catalog of 499 podcasts, we'll be recording the 500th life right here in the great Pacific Northwest.
Yay! And we have a live audience for podcast episode number 500.
Hello, live audience.
Yeah, and a monkey from afar. Tonight, we're talking about Geocaching HQ as one of the top employers, but I have a hunch our Geocaching HQ rep might derail the interview, and who knows where it's going to go, but it's going to be great. Live audience, we always want to hear from you. Throw it in there. Fill up the chat, ask the questions, get involved. We love having you here. But of course, we can't get started yet because it's time to bring in our cinematic chimpanzee. Some say he can't leave Canada, and others say he really likes green eggs and ham, Sam I am. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hi, it's me, Land Monkey, here from Canada. It was, 400 episodes since this guy made an appearance, so it's about time to come back and say hi. So,
Hello.
all right. Hey, before we get rolling on episode 500, I have a very special message from one of our corporate Denali level patrons. That's Landsharks. So the team at Landsharks, Chris, Helen, Montana, Diane, Beth, Kelsey, Ivy, Ashley, Dixie, and Monique, want to congratulate the team at Caching the Northwest on our 500th show. Woo! Woohoo!
Yay!
All right. They say, great job, guys. Thanks for bringing us along for the ride. We are so proud to be your sponsors. Aw, that's nice.
Oh, I'm touched.
While you're gathering content for your next 500 shows, they'll be out caching in the Northwest.
Okay.
That's brilliant. I love it.
So, Land Monkey,
Yes.
Can we lean on them for the next 500 shows worth of content?
I think that's what I heard, but I'll be visiting shortly over there, and I'll do some research. I'll find out if they're actually going to provide us that. But my personal experience with the crew over there at landsharks.ca, I'm pretty sure they can give us at least 200 episodes of content. So there we go.
Oh, yeah. And there's two of them, so 200 each.
Right? Well, there's more than two of them. There's what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Well, yes.
5,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's
Okay, so lots of
10 them.
content.
That's 1,000 episodes. I think we're good. All right.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
I just want to say you have very impressive counting skills.
I can count all of the digits. Didn't even need to go to toes. It's all good. All right. Well, check out all their products and fun, cool geocaching stuff at Landsharks, landsharkz.ca. And our other, hey, let's not forget our other corporate Denali level sponsor. That's Gold Country Geotourism. And folks, let me know, has anybody in the audience downloaded the app? Silence.
Not yet. They're all going to, though. I know.
Yeah, they're all busy on their phones. So shoot, I
Yeah.
thought I was supposed to do this earlier. All right.
They haven't had a chance to get the Gold Country yet, but they're going to get the app when they head up there.
There you go. Absolutely. Visit exploregoldcountry.com. Learn more about the geo tours and the regions. Don't forget to download the app and have a great, amazing time when you visit beautiful Gold Country, British Columbia, heart of our geocaching territory up here in the, as I like to call it, geocaching capital of Canada, British Columbia. All right. Hey, 500 episodes. We are rocking and rolling here, my friends.
Without a doubt. Now, if there's somebody who happens to be watching live, since we have a whole bunch of people here in the audience, if you want to get in on tonight's conversation, use the hashtag 500. It's pretty easy. Everybody can remember that. Hashtag 500 to bring up something in tonight's show. And of course, you can use the hashtag FATAS to bring something up for the after show. Maybe that's not related to the 500th episode or the other 499 that came before. Either way, use the hashtag FATAS to bring up something there. And we've added some more. Okay, we have hashtag podcast baking. Can I get my beautiful wife to bring over a cupcake
Mm.
to show you an example of podcast baking? Now, this happened before the podcast, but it's okay. You can eat it during the podcast.
So Chris, does that mean you're going to put down the mic, walk away, and we actually get Kathleen for this show?
One can only hope.
Now that would be a
Here we
special
go.
treat. Ooh, cupcakes. Very nice. And who are the cupcakes from? Who provided those?
Why, of course, they are very special monkey cakes. Wave to us, monkey cakes. There we go.
Thank
In the
you
front
very
row.
much.
In the
And one more, you can use hashtag podcast drinking to tell us on what you're sipping on tonight.
All right. Sounds good.
good old water here for me.
Water
So we're
everywhere.
gonna staying hydrated.
Technically, this is water.
Absolutely. Not a drop to the other, a drop to drink.
Yeah, lots of drops to drink.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what's going on with that ancient mariner, dude. All right.
All righty then. Hey,
Yes.
we're going to jump right into our topic. Tonight we have Brian Roth with us from Geocaching HQ.
Hi, Brian.
Everybody say hi to Brian.
Hello, live audience and audience from afar.
Now, Brian, we started the idea of this episode with talking about why geocaching.com has been named one of the top 50 places to work by Outside Magazine. Outside or outdoor? Outside magazine. Outside magazine. And this is the 12th year in a row. That's huge.
I think it's pretty awesome. It's an honor for us to be included in the list, especially for 12 years. It's I think it's just comes down to trying to create a great place to work, and a lot of it comes down to what we do as a mission: getting people outside, inspiring adventure, exploration in the community, supporting you guys, engaging with you guys, helping to create the ecosystem that we all benefit from. And we have a really nice work environment. I mean, I get to work there every day and love it. And Jeremy, Elias, and I, when we first started off, having worked in other companies, we kind of had an idea of what we liked and what we didn't like. We said we want this to be a place where people are happy to come work. And ideally, there's days where it feels like work, but the days where work doesn't feel like work are really what we strive for. And I think when it comes to serving the global geocaching community, that helps us to attract and retain a lot of people who understand the value of the mission, the impact that we can have as a company and as a community. And I think when people feel positively about what it is they're doing, when they get interviewed by Outside Magazine, they say nice enough things where we end up on the list.
Nice. Now, this was from 2022, and they say you have 93 employees. Is that still somewhat accurate, or have you passed that?
I feel like I have to wait until the echo finishes
Yeah.
before I can say something. So
Yes.
excuse us out there. I think we're at about 96 right now. We have one available position, and I heard today that we're about to extend an offer to one of the candidates. So when that is done, at least for a while, we won't have additional positions. So I think we're going to probably hold around that level for some time and kind of let everything settle, because we've done a bit of hiring over the last couple of years. So 96, just a few more than when they did the interview, and it's a good size for the company, at least at this point.
Nice.
There's some great benefits there from what I'm looking here. Look at that.
I know. If you just search for Outside Magazine top 50 places to work, you'll see that geocaching.com is rated number 18.
It's interesting how it works. Having been 12 years, we've been rated number 3 at one point. We've been rated a variety of different numbers throughout that sequence. And I have no idea what the difference is between one year we're 3 and another year that we're 38 or 18 or whatever it is. I think for us, just making the list is enough. And it's really just been a treat.
Well, you're number one in our book. And there's a ton of great benefits. You can read all about them online. If you're interested in working there, apply. You never know. You might get to be a lackey yourself. But are there a few things that you can draw out that makes Geocaching HQ, not Groundspeak? That's another story. What makes it unique? What makes it a desirable place? Why would somebody want to come work with Brian Roth and all those great lackeys?
I can't say why they would work with me. That might be a detriment in some forms. But why they would want to work at HQ, for starters, like the most important reason I think is the mission, like what we get to do for a job, getting to serve the global community, getting to engage with a wonderful group of people all over the world, and the mission of essentially trying to get them outside and give them something fun to do, get all of us outside and give us something fun to do, is a way to, I guess there's a lot of ways to make the world a better place, but this is the way that we get to do it, and I think that resonates with a lot of people, both internally and externally.
Okay, if I put you on the spot for just a minute, you've mentioned mission a couple of times. Do you have an official mission statement for
We do.
geocaching.com?
It's to inspire adventure, exploration, and community. That's our mission. And then we have 4 values. It is. I might have to ask Marty. I'm just kidding. Marty's in the audience. It's passion, effectiveness, authenticity, and inclusivity. One of the 4.
Fantastic.
So I want to jump in here. First of all, I just heard Marty's in the audience, and I haven't seen Marty.
But we can't hear them.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? How about now?
Get a little delay going on.
How about now? How about now? Can you hear me now? You could hear me before the show. Now you can't hear me?
Well,
Yeah, you'll be able to.
How about now?
you can hear.
I bet you Brian can hear me.
Now I can hear you. Yes,
Yes? Can you hear me now? All right.
I
Hey,
hear you now. I feel like I should like DJing with these things on.
awesome. Hey, so I heard Brian say that that a few interesting things here, and something that's particularly interesting to
We're
me.
good. You're good.
Okay. Is there like a really long delay here because I was already well into my next statement?
Yeah. The joys of live shows.
This is so much fun. Are we all having fun? Are we all having fun? Are we having fun all right. Hey, so Brian, question for you.
Yes,
One of the
Jake.
key things for me as an employee in a large organization is the opportunities to grow my own career and opportunities for professional development. And so I'm curious what HQ does in supporting their staff in those areas.
Sure, there's quite a lot of things that we do as a company for professional development. One of the main starting points for professional development is that we have a learning and development manager on staff. This person's full-time job, this is Maria, her full AK Princess Warrior is her username. And her job, her role is basically to bring professional development to the company. So we have a onboarding program for new lackeys, and that runs effectively through the first 2 years of becoming a lackey.
That's incredible.
The first 2 weeks is an intensive sort of learning about the game, the company, and community. We have ongoing sessions on communication tools, communication, like the way we work with one another. There's a lot of training. Oh man, I can't hear the echo of myself in my own ear. That's killing me.
Oh, the joys of a live episode. We're getting a little bit of feedback here from ourselves, so it's really hard to talk through that. But Brian, you're doing a fantastic.
I understand this is an aside that it's like a psychological weapon that has been researched, where what they would do to interrupt somebody who is publicly speaking is they would broadcast the sound of their own voice at that person at about a half a second delay, and it's so distracting, I guess, that it doesn't. So we're getting a little taste of that right now.
Yeah, it works really well.
It's like a social experiment.
For the record, I would like to state we did not intend to torture you tonight, but
Well, you know how I feel about the show. I'll do whatever. If you want to take it, if that's the next question, let's get on with it.
I was going to just ask a side question. It wasn't in the notes here, but you mentioned there's an onboarding 2 weeks that really teaches people about the game. Do you have many lackeys that come to work there that have never been geocachers?
I would say the majority of new lackeys that join us have some geocaching experience. But even so, to have geocaching experience externally doesn't necessarily prepare you for how we look at geocaching at an individual team level. So one of the things that happens is this person, a new lackey, will, over the course of the 2 weeks, get taken out caching. They'll get exposed to all the different cache types. So if they were a sort of a casual player, maybe they haven't done a Where I Go or something like that. So they get that type of education. But also, they'll sit down with the leaders of the different teams. So they'll sit down with our CFO, for example, and he'll explain, here's how premium memberships work. Here's how the company generates revenue. Here's what our cost structure looks like. So it's kind of the behind-the-scenes view into how the business operates. And if you meet with the CBS director or the team manager, which is the community volunteer support team, you will learn about how we work with community volunteers, the roles that they play, some of the tools that they have that aren't necessarily public knowledge, only because there's no need for everybody to know all the different intricacies of how we do the job. But as a new employee, the better that you understand the nature of what all departments do, that 2 weeks becomes really valuable 6 months in or 9 months in when there's a question and you know who to go to, or what you need to do with to get the right response.
Oh, I think all companies ought to be doing that.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I mean, I can't tell you the times that I've been able to go around in a company that I've worked in, go to each department and ask questions, and how I get such a better understanding of how the company as a whole works.
One of the parts of the onboarding is that every new lackey and I get to have an introductory coffee. And one of the things, we normally talk about a few things, but one of the things that I'll say is we don't have to be like every other company. We're not owned by outside investors, where we have to answer to the community. And so as long as we're doing the right thing by the game and the community, well, we get premium memberships and we can exist. We'll also talk about the fact that at some companies, maybe it's don't look at the CEO, don't talk to the CEO, the door's always closed. You need to talk to the assistant before you even, have an opportunity to do that. And what I will say is my door is always open. And as a new employee, I want you to look at your job description. And that's the basics. That's what you're supposed to do. But what's really important is pay attention, talk to everybody, figure out what's really going on. And the more that you can engage with the game and the community, the better you can understand what we can do as a company to be better. And each employee is an individual who comes to us with their own background, their own perspective, their own experience. And so we would be foolish to say, only this group is going to come up with the next best idea. The reality is anybody in the company could have the next best idea. So learn everything you can and then speak up. Talk to everybody. Ask the questions. Build consensus. And if you feel like you have an idea that's not getting heard, walk into my office and let's talk about it.
So they don't have to take the time to go through their manager and hope that bubbles up to you?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll eat lunch in the Signal Cafe or pass people in the hallway, and I love to have conversations. I mean, it's geocaching. Like, don't we all love to have conversations about geocaching? So tell me the next idea. Tell me what our customers are saying, what's happening on social media. Like, from my perspective, I'd love to know as much as I possibly can about everything that's going on. And I'd like for everybody else to feel the same way.
I love that. I think you've already talked about this a little bit, but what about any benefits and/or perks at geocaching? Should we call it Geocaching HQ or geocaching.com?
HQ is kind of how we refer to the company. .com is really the website. You know, we'll talk about the mobile apps or the mobile apps. Groundspeak is a corporation that owns, you know, that effectively it's a geocaching HQ is like a DBA, doing business as.
Okay.
So what are some of the benefits or perks at HQ that set it apart as a great place to work?
Well, I would say that early in the development of the company, when we started to get to the point where we had revenue, we always felt that it was important to provide health care to employees. You know, in this day and age, we know how important that is. And as we got more successful, we said, well, we don't just want to take care of the employees, we want to take care of their spouses, their, you know, significant others, their children. And so when we were able to do it, we said to employees, we're going to change our policy. We will cover the healthcare premiums, and we're going to try and provide good healthcare to everybody, because having to worry about where you're going to pay for your family's medication or a doctor visit or something that's really important, that's a big distraction from actually being able to focus on your job of helping us serve the global community, build a better ecosystem, build a stronger company. So, and we know it means a lot to people. So that was something we've done. There's plenty of companies out there that do it. You know, we do it because we believe it's the right thing to do, is to take good care of our employees and their families. Some of the other benefits, I mean, we have some of the ones that stand out, and I'll say my favorite, and one of the reasons that I think we get on Outside Magazine's Best Place to Work, because, you know, they're oriented towards an outdoor audience, is this goes back to the very early days. Jeremy, Elias, and I, we used to play together, and we would go skiing or snowboarding or water skiing or whatever, and we always said, like, it's important for people to play outside. And one of the benefits we have is for everybody's supposed to go geocaching for a minimum of 2 hours a week. But we said for the folks that want to do something other than geocaching, we have a lift ticket benefit. So if you ski or snowboard and you're willing to take, you know, time off paid PTO days, pay for your lift tickets. And it's something where, you know, for those of you out in the audience who ski or snowboard or cross-country ski, there's something to say for a day on the mountain or a day out on the trail. It does wonders for you physically and mentally. It said, okay, this is something that we've been passionate about. What a cool way to do a benefit. So that's one that's pretty cool. We have the Signal Cafe is stocked with drinks and food, and I think one of the big driving factors for the company in terms of providing benefits is we're located in Seattle. Amazon's here, Microsoft's here, Facebook, Google, Salesforce, Adobe's right across the street. All these multi-billion-dollar companies that are going pretty far out of their way to attract and retain talent, that's who we have to compete with for talent. So a lot of it is like their expectations of, all right, you have to provide healthcare. You know, Google's got, you know, chefs in the kitchen that are preparing, you know, bespoke meals for every employee. They've got full gyms and stuff like that. We're not at that level, but how close can we? You know, one of the things we have a gear closet in the office that's got everything from backpacks and GoPros and cross country skis and snowshoes and things like that. You can go into the gear closet and sign things out for a weekend or a week. So it's just, if you need your gear to go outside and play, you want to make it available. It's kind of a unique benefit.
That's really nice.
All right, just trying to make sure we can get Land Monkey a chance to jump in there. He's been they're so quiet.
I'm just trying to follow along in the show notes.
Okay, I'll just follow the show notes. I was supposed to say,
I can even see them behind you, Jim.
how does
It's very exciting.
I know you can see it up there. How does Geocaching HQ foster a positive and inclusive company culture?
So I'll be brief with that because I want to get off script for a moment. But what I'll say, as I said before, it's one of our values, inclusivity. We have training on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have behavioral expectations for people, and we have trainings that help people understand why inclusivity is important. Again, having diversity isn't just about diversity of like what people look like or backgrounds. It's like diversity of thought is important to getting to the right answer. If everybody thinks the same way, if everybody is the same, we have very limited perspective. So we have trainings, we have like an Encompass Slack channel where people post interesting articles and things that people can learn, and there's a lot of education that takes place. But suffice to say that it's a value, and we, in a lot of ways, it's a developing value. We're committed to it, and so we're all sort of on a learning journey together, trying to improve in the area of DEI. So, where I'd like to diverge from the script, and I know we can talk about HQ in episode 500 and whatever, but I think since we have you all folks here at 500, we should talk a little bit about the fact this is the 500th episode. And I think, as an audience member among the rest of the audience, I would like to know at 500 episodes, like what have you learned? What's your impression? Like, how are you feeling? Episodes in. It is a milestone that is no small feat to achieve. It has taken so many years to get here. Tell us a little bit. I'd like to hear from each of you, honestly, about what are your perceptions about what it means to make it to 500, and how can you reflect on geocaching, the global community, etc.
Thinking back to the very early days, I was worried that, after 10 episodes, we'd have nothing to talk about. Well, that's not been too much of a problem, actually.
You squeaked another 490 out, so good job.
Yeah.
By the skin of our teeth sometimes. We try to make it look as polished and easy as it is, but there are times that for unknown reasons, unexpected reasons, a guest will cancel out at the last minute. We still have a show to do, and it's live, and we have to, get out there and come up with a topic and talk about it. So that's gotten a whole lot easier over the years. We do have a couple, I don't know, what do we have, 5, 10, what I call evergreen topics that we can always talk about and come back to. So we try to keep cycling through those just to keep the show going. I dragged him in wit's end here, kicking and screaming.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah. We used to work together in the same office. And he says, I really want to start a podcast and I need some help with it because I don't want it just to be a monologue. I want it to be a dialogue. And that it really helps to have, because I've done episodes all by myself and it's easy as some people might think. But it's really been great. One thing I've learned in 500 episodes, live events are not the easiest way to do a live podcast episode, but we appreciate your patience while we go through all the feedback and delays.
And only the slight amount of torture.
Yeah.
This is working just fine.
So, I mean, I look forward to Thursday nights chatting with my friend Chris, my friend Jay, Land Monkey in Canada. He came along in episode 20-ish, something like that. He'll probably share when it's his turn. But it is a highlight of the week. The three of us get together and chat. And what's really grown podcast wise, we used to joke that, well, we don't really geocache, we just get to go on Thursdays and talk about geocaching, except Land Monkey, he's got 18 trillion metric finds, but it's the chat community, and I see the chat just going crazy on the side of the screen, and I'm not in my normal podcast studio tonight, so it's really hard for me to follow along and put some comments up. But all of you out there in the chat, I want you to know we see those comments. We appreciate all your warm wishes about 500 episodes. It is a milestone. It's pretty incredible that we've been able to keep going all this time. And I know I don't have a plan to quit anytime soon. It's a lot of fun, and we're really honored to have you here with us sharing this tonight.
It's an honor to be invited to participate in the 500th episode. It really is. Actually, while we have a moment, we've got an audience here. Can we get a round of applause for this podcast here at 500 episodes? Congratulations, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Land Monkey, it's your turn.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, hello from Canada.
He's still there.
I haven't left. No. It's the same time zone. We're all good. No, it's I definitely echo what Chris and Jim both have said. And can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm always nervous.
Responding to Gio's comment.
We're trying to do some audio editing.
Okay.
On
All right. Well, while you're working on that, allow me to entertain everyone. All right. Well, it's both of you guys are right. Like, I look forward to Thursday nights, and it's been such a funny journey. As Chris said, I joined in on the podcast around episode 20. None of us can remember exactly which episode it was, but at the time, the guys were doing a monthly episode, and I had just recently gotten into the game, and I was an avid podcast listener, and found a podcast that was kind of, in my region, created relatively locally, about a hobby I was newly keen on. I thought, oh, this is great. I'm listening to it, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. So I reached out and said, hey, if you ever want to have a Canadian guest to just sort of share a different perspective on the game, I'd be happy to come on your podcast and talk, because if there's one thing I like to do, it's talk. And I was invited back, and just sort of somehow managed to finagle my way in. But I think subsequently, what's really been fun is that I've been able to become the third friend in this amazing triad of podcasting, and we've had so many great adventures together. We've become fast friends, and we hear it from the audience, and we definitely experience it ourselves, that it's just fun to have the conversations and to connect and interact, because we're friends, and there's just this natural ability to feed off each other. We each have a bit of a unique sense of humor, and I think that adds depth to the show, and it just makes it fun to hang out. It's basically like every Thursday night I get to hang out with two of my best friends. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So definitely a huge thanks to, of course, those who have continued to download episodes after 499. You guys are still listening to us. Thank you. A huge thank you to our patron family, to the folks who actually go the extra mile to support us. That makes an enormous difference and really helps us keep doing this. And then mostly just a thanks to my co-hosts, my friends, and I don't want to forget about our chat lackey there, Brian, being nice and quiet in the background. But every episode, he's in there quietly in the background, just helping us sort through all the comments that come in the chat, and being a team player. And it's a very encouraging, positive thing to keep doing, and getting the feedback from the community and the opportunities, Brian, to talk to you and your team. As much as everybody knows that we hate each other, Chris Ronan and I do have the ability to actually collaborate once in a while and get some great guests from HQ, and really enjoy chatting with all the wonderful folks who do so many diverse jobs at HQ, and we get to learn more in working with those folks. So thank yous all around.
Yeah, we've come a long way. The episodes, I hope, have gotten better and better over time. And if you feel the urge to go back and watch some of the earliest episodes, I encourage you don't. They're not the best, but you got to start somewhere, right? You can't do episode 500 if you don't do episode 1. And it's been a great ride, and like I said, I'm looking forward to more.
I think so are we as an audience.
Thank you.
You know, thinking back, I think Land Monkey approached us at just the right time. We were both parents with young kids, and we thought once a month we can do a podcast once a month. We can get together, and we found as the kids were getting more and more active, finding one night a month was getting difficult. And maybe it would go 6 weeks before we record the next episode, or maybe 8 weeks, and it was to the point of maybe this just isn't the right time to do this.
And then Land Monkey.
The
All my
other
fault.
podcast I was doing at the time,
Yeah.
obviously it's all your fault. The other podcast I was doing at the time, GeoGearheads, we just started investigating, playing with
Hangouts on air.
Google Hangouts on Air, and that made it so much easier because you could be in diverse locations. And now, yeah, you know what? It's a little late to start at 9:00. I think we actually started at 10:00 originally because we knew our kids would finally be in bed by that time.
We hoped.
And we moved it back to 9:00. Yeah, it's a little late for East Coast, or and some people. I mean, staying up this late is tough. They've got to get up early in the morning.
Hey, Chris,
But it's been
apparently it works
fun.
really
It
well
seems
for
to-
Australia and New Zealand, though.
That's true. That's true.
We-
What is it? Early morning there?
Yeah.
10, 11, 12?
And
The
we
next
have
day?
had live guests from all over the globe, in all different time
Yeah.
zones, and often live viewers from all over the great. It's really great. And if it is too late, if it's not convenient, if it doesn't work, the vast majority of people, I would say, still download the audio podcast after the fact or watch the YouTube video, and it's available there. So,
So, all right, I have more questions.
oh,
So, 500 episodes. Is there a moment or moments that you can recall that were just really funny? And can you share a story or two about sort of from the archives?
episode 100.
Comes to mind. We interviewed Dora Moore for the very first time. There you go. Brian liked that. I think mine would have been number 100 with our trio of hosts. Surprised a certain guest, Dora Moore, with puppets. So we had worked on this weeks before, and Land Monkey, you found the puppets, right?
You did.
So funny story is that we had booked the guest. We had booked Dora Moore, and she was going to come on and talk about some of the events geocaching events that were being hosted up here in BC at the time. And I was thinking, wow, it's episode 100. It's like a milestone. We should do something neat. And I was at a hobby store looking for something else, and I looked at this rack, and it had these puppets. And one of the puppets, and at the time, Chris's caching name was the Bad Cop. So just caveat there. And I'm looking at this rack, and there's this puppet of a cop, and then there's this other puppet of this guy with the fancy mustache, and then there's another puppet of a monkey. And I'm thinking, huh. I could make more trouble if.
Yeah, so we did the podcast as puppets. The puppets were the only thing on camera, and that was fun enough. But poor Dormore did not know that she had signed on for an episode with puppet hosts. So she was the only human on the podcast that night. And people still talk about that being one of their favorite episodes.
I mean, as somebody who hasn't seen it now, I definitely have to go back and watch it. But what I find most remarkable is to pose the question and then have you all and audience members instantly agree on that funny moment. Is real.
It was a very significant episode, very unique.
You mentioned earlier that you've had different lackeys on. And one of the things that comes to mind for me with that is every so often I'll see one of the other lackeys, whether it's Gio or Marty or Chris or
JT
Cindy,
Coffee or
JT Coffee, of course. I get to work with those folks all the time, and I get to see what they do, and I know how wonderful they are and really how good they are at their jobs. But in my role, like I have a deep appreciation for the fact that you give them an opportunity to tell their story and to share who they are with the community. Because I feel like as somebody who feels so honored to work with all of these people, to get to share them with the community, have them understand like this is the group of people that is working hard to serve, to get more people outside, to build this ecosystem. It's something that's it's truly a win-win. Because as you guys are always looking for like, hey, what other story can we tell? What angle can we provide? How can we better educate or share something interesting with our audience? And here we have these stories to tell that are both personal and professional, and just the opportunity for people to get to know the lackeys in a way that I already do and feel so fortunate to do it. It's just it's a really nice way to go and a huge win.
I make it a personal point to make sure that our guests feel welcome, right? That they have the opportunity to talk about what they want to talk about. Well, this is a great example. You've derailed the podcast to talk about what you want to talk about. And I think that makes them feel more open to be able to communicate and share those true feelings of how they feel about working there and other aspects of the game. I've never had a bad interview with a lackey. All the ones I've talked to are fantastic. They know what their job is. I mean, they know it in detail and they can describe it easily. And I think maybe it's those classes you have.
I mean, without question, some of that is the training that we do, but a lot of it is just about the way that we interact with one another. Trying to have forthright conversations, like genuine. I mentioned one of our values is authenticity, which is basically like bring your real self to HQ. If everybody feels comfortable in there, one of the things we do was the question about how to encourage inclusivity, and we do an annual psychological survey of the company. Show me another company that's 90 employees or whatever that's doing this, but it's very important for us to know that people feel like they can be their real selves, that they can speak up in a group setting, things like that. And then the second part of it is what we do here. For a lot of people, they don't get the opportunity to stand up on stage at a mega event or do an interview, live podcast. It's such a new experience. Even for me in the early days, it was like, oh, I'm doing an interview, like talk about butterflies. Now, all right, I've done a little bit more, but for some lackeys, their first mega, they're told like, hey, by the way, you might get asked to get up on stage. It's like, well, what does that mean? Well, really, what it means is answer the questions the best you can.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say you don't know the answer. People are going to want to know what you do, how it interrelates to what we do as a company, how it, what type of impact it has on the game, and that's enough. Be your authentic self, and that's what everybody's looking for. And that goes for externally and internally. Check is one of the other reasons why people enjoy working at HQ, myself included.
Geocaching can be so many things to so many people. Some people are all about how many finds they can have, so many types of finds. Some people are into trackables. People are into, you name it, they'll find a unique niche of it, souvenirs. And it's great because you can be in any or all of those things and get something wonderful out of geocaching. But I think one of the things that I hear most frequently is it's taken me to places that I never would have gone, that I never knew existed had I not been seeking a geocache there. And I think this podcast has some of those same kind of things. We've been able to talk to people, app developers and merchandise people, and people that like a certain aspect of caching that I really wasn't even aware of, and the lackeys. Getting to know them on a personal level, because really it's the people in the chat that contribute live every week, and the lackeys that come on and do interviews with us. We are blessed to be here caching in the great Pacific Northwest, home of geocaching. not every podcast can they have like he's living right in their backyard. So it's been great to get to know them and hear their stories. And yeah, you talked about wondering if we could get past 10 episodes. I don't think we could if we were just talking about us. It's meeting all them and bringing them in.
I was at a mega event many years ago, talking with a lackey, and I noticed how other cashers came up and treated them like a tag vending machine. Right? Oh, do you have something for me? And all they wanted was that tag. And I thought, you know what? That's not right. They're not even asking who they are as a person. What do you do? And that's what I want to bring out of them.
I think in a lot of ways, we get to see such a broad array of people throughout the world who participate in this game. And so, as you were saying earlier, there's so many facets to the game that people become passionate about. Passionate, when you think about the spectrum of passion, there's people on the far edge of like really passionate about certain aspects of the game. And so, in kind of an accessible, inclusive lens, if you look at that, I recognize some people that come up to me. Maybe they're just so passionate about track goals. Maybe they're uncomfortable having a conversation. Maybe they're, and so what I try and do, like, for me personally, I don't want anybody to ask me because that could be uncomfortable in itself. And so normally, like, I'll have a pouch on me that Jeremy gave me like 20 years ago. No joke, I've had this for many years, and I fill the track goals as much as I can. And the first thing I'll do when I meet somebody new, if they're a geocacher, is I'll say, "Hey, can I give you a track?" And then if they're like, "Thank you so much," and walk away, hey, that's cool. If they got what they want from me, all right, that's fine because there's plenty of people who may want to have a conversation. So that's okay. I really don't mind. I think there's other other lackeys who would say, "Well, tell me what you like about geocaching," or answer a question, or either tell me a joke, or whatever it is. Some people are going to handle it differently. It's the same type of thing. Like there's different people internally at HQ, and then throughout the community, there's such a variety of people. So we just each approach it in our own way. One of the other things that you're just talking about is like effectively the role that you guys play in the ecosystem of geocaching, and I think. As we talk about 500 episodes, it's something to note that it's not just geocaching HQ. We've had this conversation before, but it's not just HQ. It's not just the caching in the Northwest. It's companies, it's podcasters, bloggers. It's the good folks, Chris Ellen at Landshaw. It's this ecosystem made up of game participants, but it's also different groups of individuals and organizations who are serving the community in different ways. And at the end of the day, what you folks are doing is you're providing a service. You're delighting your audience. You're engaging them. You're giving them a new perspective. You're educating them. You're entertaining them. When we look at Landsharks, what they do, they've got their cruises. They've got incredible geocoins over the years. They're good people. They're out there interacting with the community at events, sharing their stories. And when you look at the ecosystem broadly, you think about all the different types of participants. That's what makes it such a special community. There is no one part that could do this and have such a profound impact on the world. It really takes a community, which is something that we can all be proud of. As players and as participants in sort of the more business or entertainment-oriented side of the ecosystem.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, it's a thank you to everybody out there. This game wouldn't exist without the players and you guys and everybody else who plays a role. And I know that we play an important role. We take it really seriously. And that's why people come to work at HQ because they're like, "Oh, look at this company. This company has the ability to have a positive impact on the lives of people around the world."
Sure.
Like, there's a lot of ways to define success in business. That's a really good way to define it. You know, we talked about this before, but there's companies out there who are like, we need to be sold, we need to do an IPO, we need to do this, and for us to be able to say, we need to have a bigger impact. We need to get more people outside. Like, as players, we know it's good for the world to have more people spending time in nature.
Mhm.
You know, we know this. There's been studies and all that. But as players, we know it, intuitively. And so, as a company, we're always asking, how can we do more? How can we spread word? How can we get more people outside? And the answer to how we get more people outside is, well, in part, look beyond the walls of HQ. Look to you guys. Look to the land sharks. Look to the podcasters and the retailers in Australia and New Zealand and Germany and elsewhere. And all together, like, we can do more of this.
Exactly. And I've said, I don't know how many times on this podcast, I don't consider any other podcast as competition. We're all brothers and sisters in this game. The not the slogan, but the cliches that rising tide raises all boats. So if we get more people listening to podcasts, more people will listen to Caching in the Northwest. They'll listen to Podcaster. They'll listen to Geocache Talk. They'll listen and then start hitting the vlogs and blogs. So I'm all for it.
And really, if they're leaving their houses and they're going out and they're having adventures and they're exploring and they're going to events, meeting like-minded people and having good conversations, they're going to be happier people.
Mhm.
And the more happy people that we get to interact with in the world, the better. Like, we don't need things like road rage. We need people like joyful cachers who are like happy to talk to anybody. The more of that we can get all around the world, the better off everybody's going to be.
And being outside is such good therapy.
It's even good for monkeys.
It's always good for monkeys. Love being outside. Well, I mean, that's a right kind of a funny thing. I probably, like a lot of our listeners, I kind of came into the game accidentally, and have learned so much. There's just this ability to have this interaction with different players. And, we've talked a lot about having the lackeys and Brian's team and Brian himself on the podcast as guests. But I think there's a lot of other folks, and I've seen some comments in the chat of some of the great folks from our chat who have been guests on the podcast before and everybody has a unique story, right? And that's one of the things I absolutely love about being a podcaster is the opportunity to just find out about somebody else's story, because we all have different stories and we all have landed in this crazy community of this fun game. And just taking the time, we talked about this is, in the talking about lackey tags and, take the time to learn about the lackeys, but take the time to learn about anybody in your geocaching community. And that's the blessing of being able to be a podcast host, is we get that opportunity. We're intentionally asking you questions until Brian comes on the show, and then he flips it all around and now we're being asked the questions. But it's so fun to just learn from people.
Wow, the chat is just incredibly busy tonight.
I'm humbled by a lot of the comments in there.
Yeah, it's all good.
We have almost hit an hour. It seems like we just started.
That always happens when we do this podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you, Brian, for taking the time to come down here in person and joining us. I really appreciate that. If people wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that? Other than just walking into your office.
I mean, really, you can. My email address is pretty easy. It's brian@geocaching.com. I will apologize in advance for not quickly responding to anything, but I aspire to get to all of it. I can tell you that it's a big job. There's a lot of aspects to it. I feel so very fortunate to have also stumbled upon this game, courtesy of Michael Schmidt bringing a GPS into Savvy Shopper and Jeremy going online and figuring out that this Great American Stash was being played. And, all of a sudden, here we are 23 years later doing what we get to do I can't quantify how amazing that is. And so it's just it's a real pleasure to be part of it. It's a pleasure to get to do stuff like this. And thanks to Marty for driving here with me. But when I heard that this was when Chris told me, but Chris Ronan said to me, "Hey, it's their 500th episode. They'd love for you to be involved. Like, would you like to do it?" I said, "Well, I would be honored to be on it." And where is it? He's like, "Oh, it's Tacoma." I'm like, "All right, Tacoma. That's a little bit of a drive." But I talked to Marty about it a couple days ago. We're like, "All right, let's make it happen. Let's come down here." And considering what you're doing for your 500th episode and the fact that it's live and it's a little bit more raw, and okay, there's going to be challenges, but it's unique, and why not? This isn't rocket science. In a way, it's more important. In a way, there's less risk involved, and so we can do this and we can have a good time. And if the audio is a little buggy, all right, well, the 501 is going to be produced in a traditional fashion, and that's okay. It's actually pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Well, then people will learn to appreciate what we have crafted in our studios.
The things you appreciate tend to get better.
Things you depreciate tend to get worse. Hey, folks, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed, even with the echo, this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Hey, guys, before we move on, because this is a very unique opportunity, I've got my phone right here. And what I would love to do is take a picture of all of us. So I'm going to ask everybody in the audience in just a moment to wave. And I'm going to ask Brian Roth if you can kind of move a little closer to Jim, just so I can get everybody in the picture here. And I'm going to try and take a picture. And there we go. There's Mr. Roth. Brian, Chat Lackey, make sure you wave too, get in there. And everybody in the audience, give me a big wave. I'm going to get a nice group picture here of everybody. Hey, all right. Thank you. That's awesome. All right. Hey, we want to, of course, thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. And thanks to everybody in the chat tonight for all the really positive and supportive feedback and comments and the congratulations on 500. It really means a lot to all three of us, all four of us. I can't forget about our chat lackey who's there quietly in the background every night, just keeping an eye on you ruffians in the chat. All right. Well, we want to thank Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. Remember, they're shipping those online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. We want to thank all our faithful Denali level supporters: Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. And if you want to know more about supporting this show, click the Patreon link on thecachingnw.com. Wait for it, live audience. A website.
Hey, and I want to thank all of our patrons. We're going to not go through them tonight because of the echo. I think it'll just be a little too much.
That would be crazy.
So thank you all. Just know you're all included. And folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support keeps quality shows coming. So if you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. Now, if you didn't like the show, maybe because of the sound quality, but if other reasons, let us know what you want us to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review. Now, here's going to be something different. If you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on the podcast, leave us a fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask a question, or record 500 episodes any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. You can join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and even a livelier chat.
Yes.
This show is produced by Chris Umpenauer, always Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2023 by Chris Umpenauer. Folks, I would normally stay tuned for the after show, but not tonight. For 501, we'll get the action check.
Come back next week.
Congratulations on 500 shows, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.